Good Thursday morning. It's the main event. I'm your humble host, Stephen McCollum, who has not turned off the monitors in the studio room. Yes, sometimes I self-impose my humbleness with my mistakes that I make going into the show. And you know him as 17-year NFL veteran, 3-time Super Bowl champion for your Dallas Cowboys, Dale Hill. Just kidding. He's up in Las Vegas. Him and John Giesecke both played for the Raiders, and at least Dale was on the team, as he'll tell you. Was injured for the year there before he got shipped off to Dallas in that trade. They're up in Las Vegas for a Raiders reunion, and that's where they are, and Dale is here for the rest of this week. He'll be back on Monday, but alas, I got you through the rest of today, through tomorrow as well. Uncle Lou joins us second half of the hour today. Of course, talk NFL, right? Last preseason games start tonight, Friday, Saturday. I think there's one Sunday. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head. Can't remember if they go to Sunday this week. There'd be only one or so on Sunday if there is one. And then we get a little bit of a break before the regular season commences around the NFL. I always say 10 days between the two, but it differs on which team you are and things to that effect. But folks, the dress rehearsal is wrapping up this weekend. Of course, college football starts this weekend. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. We kind of hit on it a little bit yesterday in our first hour, getting you ready for college football. But that's right around the corner. Big games this weekend. Of course, we're still waiting on Arizona State to officially name their quarterback. We know who it's going to be. Morgan State is 9 days away, roughly, or is it 10 days away? Might be 10 days away today. Next Saturday, the 4th, is what we are looking at from that side. Really quick, I do want to say I appreciate everybody's comments and everything on the Mike Sheehan, the Bird's Eye View version of the show. These last couple of weeks with him back on again this year. I appreciate the positive feedbacks on that. No negatives, but no negatives yet. Those do come as the season goes on. But I do appreciate the kind comments I see out there, and some of you put it into the text line. Some of you DM'd on Twitter to TME Sports Show. I appreciate those comments very much out there as well. Because look, we work hard. He's gracious enough to join us. As I said yesterday, he squeezed us in. If you missed that, they're off this week. No fault of their own here as well. And, was gracious enough to come on yesterday and squeeze us into his busy schedule, with all the craziness they're going through with their schedule and things to that effect. So it was really nice for that to happen. And your guys' kind words as well. Uncle Lou comes up at 9 o'clock. But look, Cardinals were in Green Bay for a joint practice yesterday, a festive joint practice, as they generally tend to be. No big fights broke out yesterday, but there were some scuffles happening and stuff to that effect. We'll talk a little bit about that. Of course, they're facing each other in the final preseason game tomorrow night, Friday night as well, from Green Bay for the Arizona Cardinals. Then their season begins out there. Interesting enough, I told you guys early on, I said the Diamondbacks are going to cover the 3.5. They're going to do better than 3.5 wins. I put my $10 on it, just as a season bet there and stuff to that effect. You're starting to see more and more people, and Luke came out and told you guys he thought they'd be better than the 3.5 a few weeks ago as well. And you're starting to see more and more people be impressed with the Cardinals side of it. And most importantly, folks, this is why you listen to us here at the main event. You're starting to hear Saturday night, I was at that preseason game with the Cowboys. And I put a tweet out that said, my quarterback room, and I brought it up with Bruce Cooper on Tuesday, my quarterback room would be Brissett, Beck, Slovis. Meaning I would trade Gardner Minshew to someplace else. You're starting to see more entities come out with that thinking. I know 98.7's Tyler Drake came out yesterday with an article saying, you could cut him. Not all stems around Beck's deal, but you're starting to see more and more beat writers around the Cardinals and stuff like that kind of wake up to the same thinking I'm thinking. You have the same quarterback, Brissett and Jacob and Brissett and Minshew, and you have a quarterback everybody wants to see what he can do. Cut out one of those steps and let's get going. So you're starting to see that narrative more and more out there as well, around the marketplace. But we're not going to start NFL here. Of course, Diamondbacks went into yesterday's game or day game, Erod on the mound, and just another stellar outing by Rodriguez yesterday. Diamondbacks go out there and they get the series win over the Chicago Cubs, who are an unbelievable team this year. Like I told you, I've watched a lot of Cubs games. PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, to me, he's the MVP of the league. I know there's some other guys out there people are leaning towards and things to that effect. But to me, he is the MVP of the league so far. It didn't have that great of a series here, compared to what you've seen him do in other series out there. But the Cubs are a really good team. I've told you I haven't watched many. I've seen only a handful, if a handful. A handful would be lucky of Milwaukee Brewers games this year. And I'm sitting here going, I know Milwaukee's leading their division with the fewest home runs ever hit, in a season and all that stuff. And I'm like, how good are the Milwaukee Brewers? Because the Cubs are dang good. So how good are the Milwaukee Brewers if they stay ahead of the Cubs in that division, right? So we've been all over that before. And then I said my big thing about, and Robert knows where I'm going with this, the Bach call yesterday. I love these debates around baseball. They crack me up 100% out there. And we'll get to Robert's comment in a minute here, and we're going to get into the Bach side. But I told you, I said, hey, the Cubs have the ability to score a lot of runs quick. And we saw that in game one. Well, what was it? I can't remember now, but what was it, a 2-1 or 3-1 or 3-0 ball game, 2-0 ball game? And then the Cubs got to the Diamondbacks bullpen, ends up being, a 7-0 victory. They can score runs in bunches. Erod went out there yesterday and just shut him down. I do have a caveat I have to say, though, about yesterday's game. Right? Lawler took that ball off the head, and I was like, all right, he's probably off today, because I was going off of just what Torrey and them do when guys get kind of hurt like that, right? Is they go, we got to give him more time, that type of stuff. Pleasantly surprised to see Lawler in the lineup yesterday. And you're not winning that game without Lawler also getting into that game. You're not winning it without him. He's the one that produced the scores out there as well. So I was pleasantly surprised that Lawler did make it into that game. I didn't think it wasn't because Lawler didn't want to play. I just think head injuries, you can tend to take it easy a little bit, kind of pull back a little bit on those head injury type stuff in order to, protect a player in those types of situations out there. So Diamondbacks win the series. But the big news out of this, and we're going to have some fun with this here, folks, the Bach. Here's my opinion of the Bach in baseball. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody. Umpires, no idea. Players, no idea. Coaches, no idea. That's the bottom line about a Bach. You literally, now there's something in dynamics a little bit different about this one, but I've never seen a Bach called where somebody somewhere went, what? And an argument happened. If a third base umpire calls it, everybody on the field goes, wait, what? It's an amazing thing to see on a Bach. It's like open for interpretation, even though it's really not. Even if you went to social media yesterday after the play happened, people were arguing. People become Bach experts, and they're just flat out wrong about it. On top of it, it's hilarious to see. People dig into the rule book and all of this stuff to find out if it's a Bach or not and all of this other stuff out there. It cracks me up. Baseball guys that claim they're know-it-alls of baseball go out there and they post rules and how it's this and how it's that. Now, the caveat here is it was a Bach yesterday. It 100% was. He stepped off the rubber on his delivery. 100% was. I'm going to tell you why the umpires missed it, though. It was an amazing move, and I can understand why they missed it. I can understand why the Cubs were upset about it. I can understand how the Diamondbacks were like, all right. And I also know why the umpires missed it. It's pretty blatant why they missed it. And it just cracks me up, though, that just everybody becomes a Bach expert. And I'm just telling you, folks, right here, right now, I can show you 30 pitches. Bachs or not Bachs. you will get it wrong most of the time. It's a weird thing that happens. Some are really obvious, but they're rarely really obvious. And there's just always disagreements around it. And it's one thing that cracks me up about it. And the amount of uproar around this one play yesterday does kind of crack me up a little bit. PCA was right, by the way. It was a balk. 100%. But he's the only one that saw it. I mean, everybody claims to have seen it when they watch the broadcast. You have to watch the replay like 3 times to see what happens. In real time, did you really see it? That's my question. I'm not doubting you. You might have. Did you see it in real time? It happened quick. And it was an unusual balk call on top of it. You know, he didn't continue his motion. You have to stop if you're a pitcher. That's usually when they're called, is you don't stop in your rotation, stuff to that effect. It was such an unusual balk call that I understand why the umpires missed it. It's kind of a fascinating thing to see here in everything. It just cracks me up how it goes. I'm not saying nobody caught it live because I'm sure somebody did. I'm just saying most people didn't catch the balk live last night. You had to watch the replay. And the Diamondbacks replay didn't do a great job of explaining it. I went to the Marquee Sports Network, who does the Cubs games. They did a splendid job showing you the angle that did it in real time. They showed you that angle to kind of go on that side. Robert says that was a balk. And he also says PCA will be taking an 80-game vacation soon. Are you saying PCA's on the juice or taking something, Robert? Is that what you're trying to say there? He's a phenomenal player, though. I'm not doubting you on that comment. It wouldn't surprise me, but man, he's doing some amazing things this year to see. Ann says, I was shocked to see Lawler, but so grateful for his home run. Yeah, I saw him in the lineup, and I went, wait, what? Lawler's actually playing today. Nice. Again, with the way they are with players in the Diamondbacks organization, I get it. If he took a ball off his arm or his leg, and it swelled, he'd probably be out there. Just head injuries, though, that looked bad, too. That looked like bad when it hit him. So I just kind of like they're going to give him the day off. And thank God they didn't. You won the series because of him as well on that side of things. Ann says, I feel like baseball has the most unclear set of rules. Yeah, go to the rule book and look up what a balk is. It's literally a bunch of maybe this happens, then you call it. If this happens, you call it. It's not as simple as ball touches the ground, it's in play. If the ball catches in the air, it's an out. It's these convoluted rules and things like that. Balks are an amazing. I almost feel like it's a judgment call. Let's put it that way. And if you do like I said, the easiest balk is a pitcher doesn't become set before he goes home. That's easy to see. And even then, it's questionable at times if you watch it. It's questionable at times. There have been balks called this year where the pitcher has done the same thing in the 7th inning, 6th inning as he did in the 1st inning. Twitched a little before he would throw. I don't remember who the pitcher was, but I remember watching it. They let it go all through the first 4 or 5 innings. All of a sudden, 6th, 7th inning, call a balk. Changed nothing. Went to the set position, twitched his legs, and then threw home. All game long, they allowed it. And all of a sudden, they determined it was a balk. It's the most amazing, controversial stat on the planet, and they can call it anytime they want to. It's amazing. Or not call it anytime they want to. But my favorite part is just going to the social medias and watching all these people claiming to be experts at baseball, just claiming that's a balk, that it's not a balk. Now, yesterday was a balk. I'm not going to lie to you. That was a balk. I get how the umpires, and people are like, how did the umpires miss that? It's easy how they missed it. Did you see how fast it happened? I had to watch the replay twice before I even figured out what he did. And I'm not a baseball expert by any means. Some people probably caught it live. Most did not, though. Most saying they saw it live didn't see it live. I'm just telling you guys out there. It's impossible to see it out there and that stuff. Yeah. Robert said, great quote by legendary former umpire Ron Luciano. Quote, I never called a ball in my life. I don't understand the rule. Unquote. Yeah. But that is, and is dead on, and Roberts is dead on with that quote as well. Baseball's rules are so unambiguous. That's why every year there's like some rule we don't know about that the umpires have to huddle together to get. You know, it's just there's always something that isn't clearly defined or hasn't happened. It's an amazing thing. And Bach's one of those rules as well out there. He says, I'm sorry, I've never called a balk in my life. I never understood the rule. Yeah, it cracks me up. And then the controversy around it, and rightfully so, by the way. The Cubs were scuffling in this game. 2 outs, 6th inning, I believe it was, 2 outs, PCA's on third. A balk, run scores. Get some momentum if you're the Cubs. You get a run across the plate. Instead, end of inning, no scores run. Eventually. That was a big play for the Cubs. I get the anger on the Cubs side. But even then, the anger on the Cubs side wasn't like pure anger, other than Pete Crow Armstrong, who lost his mind. How you're not ejected in that situation, I don't know. The umpires gave him I think the umpires gave him a lot of grace in level and area because they were probably like, we probably missed that. So we'll let him be angry about it. I think that's probably what happened, right? Because that was borderline get tossed type of motions from him, right? And those things. But other than that, the Cubs really didn't react otherwise. Now, the manager had some comments after the game and stuff like that. It was amazing, a side of it out there. And then Robert says, you go from a 289 on-base percentage to an MVP. He goes, smells fishy. I get that. We've seen guys do that before. I'm not disagreeing with you. Pete Crow Armstrong is playing out of his mind this year. That's why he's an MVP candidate. That's why in my mind he's the MVP candidate. Did you watch that Dodgers-Cubs series a couple weeks ago? Ohtani hits a home run. Pete Crow's all like, I'll show your home run up with another home run. It was just unbelievable the way he's playing and stuff to that effect. I get it. I understand what you're saying, Robert. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with it, but he's going to be like Cal Raleigh last year, right? 60 home runs. And what does he have, like 56 hits this year total? And last year he had 60 home runs. There's an ebb and flow to players here in this league and stuff to that effect and everything, and whatnot. Autumn says even the announcers. I didn't have the sound on for. I was at something, so I couldn't have the sound on when I was watching the game. Is that the Diamondbacks announcers saying PCA should have been tossed? Because yeah, I mean it was uncalled for. He should have been. But again, I think the umpires were kind of like, "Hey, settle down. We missed it. We got it. There's nothing we can do about it. So you need to settle down." And they gave him a little bit of rope. That does happen. So I can understand that side as well. And does say, Robert, you have a point. The amount of aggression that PCA had when it wasn't a balk. Yeah, that was the other side. If you want to be, make your claim that you're not on a substance, that anger that he had instantly when they said no balk was kind of amazing as well. So, Ann says it looked like the third base coach had to pick him up and carry him back to third. Not just that, Ann. The third base coach, after the inning ended, walked him to the dugout before going back and talking to the umpires. The third base coach walked PCA all the way to the Cubs dugout so he wouldn't say stuff and get tossed. And then he went back out to talk to him again. It was just the whole culmination of it there. We're going to show it to you. We're going to show you Tori's comments on it. We're going to show you the pool report, which I'm going to give the umpires a lot of grace here as well. Like I said, I understand why they missed it. I'm going to kind of just show you my thought process. I'm not saying they shouldn't have missed it. I'm saying I understand why they did. It happened quick, folks. And it's like that Janet Jackson Super Bowl halftime where, like, I remember I saw it live, but I didn't think anything of it. You know, the one where Justin Timberlake, whatever. Look it up if you want to know about that. But the amount of people that were outraged because they saw it. No, you saw it because they kept showing you the replay afterwards nonstop everywhere. But most of you didn't see it live, or most of you weren't outraged when you saw it live. I remember seeing it live and just being like, oh, that was weird, but whatever. Who cares? Didn't have a reaction to it at all. But 2 days later, after seeing the replays all the time, I certainly had an opinion about it. I think that's the way this balk call is going to be as well. Very few people saw it live. is what I'm getting at as we go forward. So if you did, let me know. I'm curious on that side of it. I'm not doubting you. I'm not going to doubt you and say you're an idiot and you're wrong, and things to that effect. Even the broadcasters who were at the stadium were on the replay. I watched the marquee replays and I watched what the Diamondbacks feed said about it as well. In the moment, I watched them both. I went right to marquee after the broadcast side on the Diamondback. They were trying to figure out, both the announcers were trying to figure out what he did and stuff to that effect. It's box are an amazing thing for me. And it goes to unwritten rules and everything around baseball. It just cracks me up how just unbelievably questionable balk calls are out there as well. So, and says, Autumn says, when will we hear Torey's apology for the balk? Well, I actually thought of that last night. I said, is PCA going to apologize to the Diamondbacks? Like, is he going to call over to the Diamondbacks and apologize to them like Torey did for them losing their mind on them stealing the signs the night before? Are they going to have to go? Is the press conference today from the Cubs going to be how they called over because they were wrong about the balk? So they're going to call over to the Diamondbacks and apologize to them? It ain't going to happen, folks. I agree with Autumn on that take as well. There'll be no apology for the outrageous reaction from PCA yesterday. And with that call out there as well. Autumn says yes, the MLB app announcers on that. So I'm assuming you're listening to the Diamondbacks call. Because I can tell you this, the marquee people avoided. They just said he was heated. They avoided the whole conversation about PCA's attitude and all of that stuff out there. So, it is amazing. And Autumn's not wrong. For some reason, the Diamondbacks are probably going to apologize to the Cubs for having that balk call because that's just simply what they do. Let's get into it. Torey Lovullo, I've said my opinion. I've read your guys' opinion on this as well. Join the YouTube chat, folks. And if you're watching us on demand later on, you can chat right there as well. We see them. We can talk about them as well, or text us 623-252-6670, or, of course, hit us up at X as well, TME Sports Show. Just tag TME Sports Show, and we'll see it during the show, and let's know. I'll just tell you right now, it was a balk. So during Torey Lovullo after the game made his comments about the balk. Now this is the replay I'm going to show because the broadcast didn't do a great job. The Diamondbacks broadcast and Marquee Network is copyrighted. I know, Ethan. I'll tell you. It's in the Torey speak here. Sorry, Ethan's talking in my ear here. So the marquee one is copyrighted, and we don't want to play it because it'll shut down the feed and stuff like that. They did a great job of looking at it right in the moment. Diamondbacks broadcast, not as much. So Torey is going to be speaking here. While he's speaking, they're going to cut to a clip of the balk that does show a good angle of what happens on the balk as well. So you're going to see two things in this clip. You're going to hear Torey speak after the game about the balk call, and then you're going to, in this moment, see the balk or see the pitch and see him. You'll see him very quickly. I'll just explain it to you. He steps off the rubber in the middle of his windup backwards. You're not allowed to do that. You're not. But look how fast it happens. If you're an umpire, you have all your restrictions and stuff to that effect. He came set, did that right. That's what they're looking for usually. And then the play at home. It happened so quick. You weren't ready for it. I understand why every umpire missed it. It happened that quick. Here it is. Torey after the game on the balk.
If all four of them have it, they're going to call a balk, and then they break it down from there. But without them all having it, I think they got their minds together and did the best they could. So sounds like it was a balk based on the reaction and the facial expression you guys are giving me right now, because we wouldn't be talking about it. So everything that PCA does is fast and like electric. So that's why he's one of the best in the game. And his response maybe told us how frustrated he was. So whatever happened, and we won the game. That's all I can go on.
All right, so Ethan, play it again, but turn the sound down on it. And then after the second replay, we'll take it down. So this is how close of it was. When you look at the camera angle behind the pitcher, you don't even see it. Right here. You don't even see him step off the plate there. So how's the second play? Now here you see it. See how he stepped backwards as he was going home? That's a balk. Absolutely, that's a balk. The camera angle from center field. How's the second base umpire supposed to see that? How's he supposed to see that? You have to go to that side angle. One more time, Ethan, for everybody watching at home here and everything. Again, first angle, behind home plate. You don't see him step off of it. You just see his foot move. This is the angle right here. Boom, quick, boom. Now, the third base umpire is watching PCH run down there, right? He's not watching the pitcher at that point. He's paying attention to what's happening in front of him, so he's going to miss it. Second base umpire, how's he going to see it with the behind the mound play there? He's going to miss it. First place umpire, I don't know what he's doing. Home plate umpire, he's paying attention to if he stops or not in the rotation. Then he's getting ready. He's got a runner coming down from third. He sees that through the corner of his eye. He's got to, he's like, I got to get into position. The pitch is coming. The pitcher came to a stop. How's he going to see him step off the backside? I can understand how the umpires miss this. It's an unusual balk position. Well, I tried looking it up and I couldn't figure out how to do it. When was the last time a balk was called in that scenario? Now, balks do get called when you step off the mound and throw to first or throw to third. They do get called in that scenario, but he threw home. It's just, I can understand how the umpires missed it is all I'm saying on this side. Did they miss it? Yes, that was a balk. 100%. I understand how they missed it. 100%. PCA running down the baseline looking at it, he's got the perfect angle of it. And he's watching, doing what? He's watching the pitcher. So he's got the perfect angle of it. He's the only one. I almost will bet you the third base umpire, once that pitch starts going, his responsibility is for the runner getting in the right position and stuff to that effect. They missed it, but I can understand how they missed it, is what I'm trying to say to you out there. My favorite part about this is PCA. You saw, if you watched the game, you saw his anger. I mean, he was being held back. Umpire walked over to him or were talking to him. And I'm just telling you, I don't know the situation. I'm just telling you the umpires gave him a lot of rope probably because they were probably like, yeah. Because when the umpires huddled up, one of them probably went, that was a balk. But you need more than one person to confirm it when you huddle up. And so they were like, well, maybe we missed this call. Because one was like, I didn't see it. Two of them were like, oh, we didn't see it. And two of them were like, oh, it was a balk. And two of them were like, we didn't see it. Can't make the call then. So maybe their umpires were like, all right, we might have missed this one. So they gave him some rope there at third base while he was losing his mind. But after the game, something funny happens. PCA's talking. I cut this clip out. He talked a lot, reserved his comments as best as he could. I'm going to read one of the comments to you. But he did reserve his judgment. So much so, as he's talking, he's getting angrier here in this clip that I'm about to show you. He's literally getting angrier as he's talking. So what do you do when you're getting angry? You stop talking for a minute, right? And you take a deep breath. He does something even better that kind of cracks me up on how he does it. Pete Crow Armstrong in the locker room after the game talking about this play.
So when a guy is shoving it down your throat, pause. You got to find any way you can to make something happen, and that's exactly what I was just trying to do.
He verbalizes the pause. That is hilarious. Hilarious on his side of that as well. PCA did say on the non-balk call, because like I said, it was a big moment. 6th inning, on second, 2 outs. On third, 2 outs. A balk would have scored a run. And they ended up losing, right, in this game. Doesn't mean they would have won the game, but getting a run across the plate can do wonders for you in a game that you ultimately lose 2-0. It can be a changer, and it was early enough in the game, right, 6th inning, that it could have changed kind of the outlook of it. Could have changed some things. It definitely would have changed the at-bat of the batter. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head right now. But it would have changed the outlook of the batter if a run had come in and the player wasn't at third anymore. So I understand that perspective from there. But Pete Crow Armstrong in his comments said, Quote, they're out there every day like we are. Their one job is to get calls right. And if they get it wrong, they're supposed to talk about it, figure it out, and get it right. And they didn't. I think they find new ways to screw something up every day. Do you get it now, Robert? Why I love me some Pete Crow Armstrong? God, that's an amazing sentence. First of all, enjoy your fine. Enjoy giving your money to charity out there, because that's coming. And I was actually fine with those comments to the last line there, but he's right. Yeah, Robert says he was reading the teleprompter that said pause. Yeah. The old, was that Anchorman? Go F yourself, San Diego. Ethan says, I don't think he was thinking on what he was saying there, so that's why he said pause. It just cracks me up. Just pause. Oh, Lord. But, enjoy your fine. That's coming your way. Those come. But he's not wrong. The umpires are out there every day. But here's the thing. And he says their one job is to get calls right, and if they get it wrong, they're supposed to talk about it, figure it out, and get it right. And they did. Umpires are human, too. Does Pete Crow Armstrong do his job perfect every time he's out there? He's out there every day. Does he do it right every time? Does he never make mistakes? So I get they make mistakes. And trust me, folks, you guys that watch this program know me. I am not an umpire guy. I actually believe what Pete Crow Armstrong says here. There's no excuse with technology today and everything else for an umpire to miss a call. Period. Full stop. End of story. Their job is to make sure the calls are right. That's the most important thing for umpires, referees, or whatever you're doing out there. I agree with that 1,000% what Pete Crow Armstrong said. But at the same time, there's situations where I will not fault an umpire. For instance, on the pitch, when you review a pitch, if an umpire calls a strike and the ball is 0.1 inches out of the strike zone when they review it, the batter goes bloop bloop, and they review it, and the ball is a millimeter off of that box, I'm not faulting that umpire for calling it a strike if it's that close. And vice versa, if he calls it a ball and it's 1 milli-inch, one slice of paper in the strike, I'm not faulting that umpire for missing that call. It's that close. I'm not going to fault it. Just not. And I'm not going to fault him for this balk call. It happened fast. A lot of things were happening. I would actually argue if Pete Crow Armstrong wasn't making a move for home, probably would have been more relevant to be seen there by the third base umpire. Him going down there probably pulled the eyeballs away from that umpire, away from the mound to watch that position. It's thinking, I got to get into spot here. I'm not going to fault umpires. In that scenario, weird situation, a lot happening on the field, quick, easy movement that you don't generally see in baseball. I understand how they missed it. Now you want to go a step farther here. They went to the pool report here. Crew chief Alfonso Marquez came out and with that pool report, and he actually acknowledged the umpires missed the balk call. Yeah. They give the umpires credits. They went and did the pool report, and they said, we missed the call. I think that's fantastic. Umpires don't do that, folks. Right? They double down. They talk about how they make excuses on what they saw and what the rule is and what all of this stuff and everything. The exact quote is, quote, we just didn't see it. After looking at the video postgame, it looked like he stepped off, unquote. So we got a situation where it happened quick, lots of things happening, eyeballs moved around, whatever. I'm not saying they're right for missing this call, by the way. They missed a call that was very important. You hear that part of what I'm saying, folks. They missed a call that they should have gotten right. But I understand why they missed it. Then you're telling me that the umpires went to the pool report afterwards and didn't double down and didn't make up some blovious thing about how they're right and they don't miss anything and they're perfect? These umpires went into that and said, no, we missed it. It looked like he stepped off. We missed it. I'm just not going to dog this umpiring crew for that call. I'm just not. I understand PCA. I don't understand PCA losing his mind like that. But I understand why the Cubs were mad. I understand why they didn't throw him out, probably. And I understand the umpires missing it. And I can really appreciate, as much as I dog umpires for doing what they do out there and missing stuff and acting all badass after the game on, we got the call, and when they obviously didn't get the call right, this umpiring crew, the crew chief, went in front of the pool report and said, we just missed it. It looked like he stepped off. Folks, mark this down. It is Thursday, August 27th, the year 2026. Mark it down. I'm telling you why the umpires missed the call, and I'm praising umpires and what they said after the game. Mark it down. It's Thursday, August 27th, 2026. Never happened before. Probably will never happen again. I'm not going to get upset about it. Even if it was the Diamondbacks that were affected and they ultimately lost the game, I'd be in here with the same scenario today. I'm not a Cubs fan, but I was in Chicago when they were in that World Series year. I was around all that hype. Grew up watching a lot of Cubs games with WGN, when I didn't have to go to school, or I got my senior year, I took like 3 classes, so I was home a lot, watching WGN and Cubs baseball. Mark Grace and Ryan Sandberg, Sean Dunn. I loved those teams as a kid, right? And stuff like that. I have a soft spot in my heart for Cubs. Now, their fans are another story. A lot of their fans are another story. But I have a soft spot in my heart for the Cubs. I still watch a lot of Cubs games today. If it was the opposite with the Diamondbacks, I'd be saying the same stuff to you today. Call me crazy if you want to. Call me weird if you want to. Say I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm a moron. Fine. Just the case. Robert said Robert says, and the reason I am 180 degrees away from you. I'm not faulting you. I mean, I get it. If you have a different opinion, I'm not arguing with you. If you have a different opinion, I understand your opinion as well. It's such a weird thing. Baseball's such a weird sport sometimes. Ann says the difference is PCA has to talk to the media and the umpires don't. They didn't have to talk to the media at his locker. He didn't. The locker room stuff is kind of, needed to be and stuff like that. And everything. But Ann does say, good on the crew for taking responsibility. Yeah, I mean, it's something you don't see very often. They missed the call, period, end of story. They missed it. They need to get that call right. Can you imagine if this was a playoff game and that happened? World Series Game 7 and that happened? Oh, my God, the world would end. Rightfully so, the world would end. But, oh my God, the amount of people on social media that became Bach know-it-alls. When I'm telling you guys, even umpires don't necessarily understand the Bach rule. Major League Baseball doesn't necessarily understand the Bach rule. 100%, you can't step off the rubber like you did. It happened fast, a lot of things happening on the field. It was fascinating to watch. One of the reasons, by the way, I love baseball. I hate the unwritten rules side of baseball, but things like this, where we all saw it, we all saw the replay, we all had time to digest it, and we all can determine that it was a bad call. And then we're still arguing about it. That's so great. When we come back here on the main event, we'll keep it rolling. I'll get you updated on some NFL stuff coming up your way. Little college football, just a couple of quick updates. We'll get more into the banning of the professional players tomorrow. Because we got Uncle Lou coming up at 9 o'clock, folks. Come and join us at 9 o'clock as well. But NFL talk when we come back, the main event. And we're back here, main event. We got Uncle Lou coming up, top of the hour here, 9 o'clock for the second hour of the show to talk NFL and getting you ready for the season as the preseason wraps up this weekend. And then, of course, UFC coming up this weekend. Last weekend was at Sacramento. This weekend, by the way, overseas. Trying to remember where it is. I'm trying to also stall to pull it up here as well. I want to say China, but don't quote me on that. But it is. Let's see here. Magomedov and Song is from. Oh, it is China. It is China this weekend. Yeah, 3 a.m. Mountain Time for the undercard on this fight. So a morning fight card coming up on Sunday as well from China as well. Here and then after that, next week they go to Paris, France. That'd be a noon kickoff time, opening football weekend there as well for that one. And then after that is the September 12th fight over here in Glendale. 2 p.m. our time is when that main card starts for that as well. So we got some day fights coming up here for you out there. We'll talk about all of that with Uncle Lou coming up. But while we're getting ready for him to come in, let's go back and let's look at some NFL stuff. And Cardinals are in joint practices with Green Bay right now. Or well, at least yesterday, getting ready for their big preseason game tomorrow night. I'm trying to overhype it, folks. I'm trying to overhype it a little bit. This is a preseason game that definitely nobody cares about. If you're playing in this game, got to be a little worried. Like I say, BJ Ojulari, I'm not going to be surprised if he gets cut. I was reading yesterday from several entities that BJ Ojulari is probably going to make this roster. It's just the question marks on that stuff of it. So who's playing, who's not is kind of who you're going to pay attention to in this game. But before we get into the practice yesterday, Green Bay has, if you don't know this, I got to let you know about this because even when I was a kid and I knew they did this and, you see it, I think it's the best thing going in the NFL circles, especially nowadays in 2026, because we know how leadership, we know how these NFL owners are treating their fans. We know how they're treating their players. We know how they're treating their staffs and their people that work for them, specifically here in Arizona with lawsuits galore out there and stuff to that effect. And Green Bay does something, and it's been a tradition for a lot of years out there, and it's just absolutely fantastic. If you don't know what it is, kids show up to the Green Bay facility. The locker room is far away from the practice field, etc. So kids show up with their BMXs and bikes like that. And Green Bay players get on the bikes and ride to the practice facility on these kids' bikes. Sometimes the kids, right, if they have it set up, they can ride with them. They get on the spokes, thing to that effect. Well, Green Bay put the call out to the kids of Green Bay yesterday for that joint practice. They said, bring your bikes for the Cardinals players as well. Jeremiah, I don't have that video, but I saw Jeremiah Love. The kids were losing their mind when he was coming out to ride that bike over to the practice field. Of course, Trey McBride also got in on it as well, and that's what I got here for you. Here's the Green Bay tradition. If you haven't seen it before, I think this is fantastic. And in an era of NFL owners treating players, fans, etc., like garbage, this is even more fantastic. Green Bay traditions here.
Incoming on your left. On your left.
Oh my! Where are you from?
I remember years ago, it was when Brett Favre was playing for Green Bay. I remember somebody being like, what if a player gets hurt? And they were talking about getting rid of that tradition because of the potential a player gets hurt riding the bike. It's a sizable difference between the facility and the locker room and stuff to that effect. I think it's fantastic. The Cardinals players were all smiling and enjoying it, at least the ones I saw. I don't know if there was anybody grumpy or anything, at least from what I saw on that side. So I got to give kudos to Green Bay. Over the weekend, I was watching, I think it was a Houston, Texas fan, was on Twitter talking about how they've spent all this money for their tickets. Kind of like what my story is with the Cardinals. They just been taking benefits away every year, less and less benefits, and things to that effect. I saw I think it was a Houston Texans fans complaining they took benefits away from them this year. Even though pricing's the same or pricing's going up, less benefits and stuff to that effect. So to see an organization still value the tradition and getting your young fans and your fan base energized into your team and inviting your fan base to do it with the Cardinals as well, I think is fantastic. And we got to give Green Bay a ton of props for continuing to do that stuff up there in that organization out there as well. So, Ann says, I was worried these players were going to break a bike. She said McBride specifically. Yeah, I do remember one time, I was young, so I was probably 10, 11, 12 or something. I do remember, I always think Mark Chmura, but it might be because of Mark Chmura's history afterwards that I think it's him. But I do remember a wheel falling off a bike when a player was on it, and the player like toppling over and stuff like that. So I do remember that. I could be wrong on the player. I might just be thinking Chmura because of his after playing days issues that he had. At the beginning, we'll just leave it out that as well. So Cardinals joint practice with Green Bay ensued afterwards, and this was an interesting practice. Obviously, I wasn't there. I'm here in Phoenix. I saw a lot of players commenting. It was like 75. Weather wasn't that bad. It wasn't that humid yesterday in Green Bay, and I saw a lot of the Cardinals players. Maybe it was 85, but it was something like that. A lot of players just soaking in the cooler weather there on top of it. It was amazing to see. So before this practice happened, Mike LaFleur talked about a lot of things leading into this joint practice yesterday. And it was basically, he said, let's see how we respond to some challenges and some adversity. Cardinals at the beginning of this practice were getting destroyed by Green Bay, all facets of it. And something flipped during the practice. And then the Cardinals started destroying the Green Bay Packers offensively and defensively. There were some scrums that happened out there. Michael Wilson, talking about the Green Bay player that he kind of mixed it up with. He said, look, I'll just put it this way. I don't like him, and I don't think he likes me. They're mixing it up a little bit in that stuff. I think this was as successful a joint practice for the Cardinals as you could possibly see, because it wasn't a game necessarily, where you have, your starters aren't playing or playing only quarter or something to that effect and things like that. So Cardinals sucked at the beginning, turned around and looked good at the end. That's fantastic to watch out there as well. Marvin Harrison Jr., if you're not, now again, it's training camp, and I told you this was going to happen before training camp started. Marvin Harrison Jr. had some drops early in camp, but he's starting to catch some balls in camp that he traditionally doesn't catch in games. Does that mean that it's going to translate to games? No. But you're starting to see that type of. He had a nice toe tap touchdown yesterday, thrown to him as well. But again, preseason, I'm not going to get excited about Marvin Harrison Jr. making these plays until the regular season, and we see it in a regular season game. But there is reason to be optimistic this year with Marv catching these types of balls and stuff like that effect. There is. There's just reason to do that as well. Offensive line. Now, Jacoby Brissett, beginning of this, gets sacked like 3 times. Now, they didn't take him to the ground, right? It's practice. But he was 5 of 12 to begin, the 3 sacks. He even threw an interception early in this game, in this practice as well. It was just a monumentally bad start, kind of the way that everybody thinks the Cardinals are going to play all season. Like I said, second half, everybody woke up. Offensive line woke up. Only 1 sack in the second half of practice. Receivers started waking up as well. Downfield throws, which is something we're not used to seeing here in Arizona. Downfield to Marv, Trey McBride, downfield to Michael Wilson. Completion passes and stuff like that. It's just this offense. I got to be careful on how I phrase this for expectation levels. This offense is going to be explosive, and they're going to take chances downfield. Let's put it that way. Whether they're successful at it or completions, and they're able to go down and score lots of points is the question of the day. But it's not going to be from a lack of trying, as opposed to previous years around here as well. But also, isn't it saying something that Jonathan Gannon, the statue as we name him here on the program, isn't it something that his defense started off really good in the first half of practice and then struggled in the second half of practice yesterday? Just want to point that out. The statue. Yeah. Out there again. The other thing I'm starting to see on the offense that is going to be interesting to see in the regular season is the running game is going to be relied on a lot. But in terms of the receivers, I think their number one receiver is going to be Trey McBride this year. I think he's going to be the focal point in the passing game. Have you seen this? Tight ends usually are for intermediate passes, 5-10 yards down the field. Maybe that go route up the middle, the seam route where you run up the middle and then you cut it outside. That's usually like the longest pass to a tight end in this league. Cardinals have ran a few plays in this preseason with McBride 20 yards downfield, 15, 20 yards downfield. Trey McBride, I think, is going to be the focal receiver on this team this year. If he becomes that across the middle, for instance, or on the outside, that's going to open up Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside to receive some passes in single coverage because you're going to be double covering, and safeties are going to be going towards Trey McBride out there. Interesting development because that's usually not what tight ends are used like in the NFL. Something to keep an eye on as we move forward here as the regular season comes up as well. So just some interesting takeouts here with this joint practice yesterday. I do like for Cardinals as well, especially yesterday from what I was watching and the video clips I saw and I was reading about, a lot of people talking about the youth on this team and the way they're playing. And I agree with this. They have depth, right? The wide receiver, whoever gets cut from the wide receiver core has had a good camp. Probably deserved to make the team. Running back, same situation with Kiner, right? You got Bam Knight's probably going to make the team. But then you got Kiner, right? Making some moves and doing that stuff for that running back side of it. I like the youth of this team, and they have the depth on that youth side, at least here through preseason, obviously, training camp, obviously. Things can change, of course, as the regular season comes up. So joint practice leading up to the game tomorrow night. Be interesting to see, final preseason game. You're not going to see a lot of starters playing. You might see everybody that didn't play last week, I expect to be out this week again. I said all along I thought Carson Beck could start this game and play like the whole first half into the third quarter. I'm not so sure with his rib injury. They're just going to kind of keep him on the side. And as I said earlier in the show, we're starting to see more people come along to what I said on Saturday night watching Gardner Minshew play. I don't hate Gardner Minshew. I think he's good for what he is. The problem is you have a Jacoby Brissett and a Gardner Minshew are the same quarterback. And if you don't have any other quarterbacks, you can have those two guys in the quarterback side. But then when Carson Beck, I have high expectations for him. I want to see what he does. You got to get rid of one of those guys. And you're starting to see more people talk about Gardner Minshew not being part of this team, whether trade. Some people said release. I wouldn't release him. I would trade him more than anything and stuff to that effect. So that way it's Jacoby Brissett, Beck, and then Slovis as your three. I've been saying this since last Saturday night. Not a knock on Minshew. It's just, why are you going to go if Jacoby Brissett's not getting the job done? Why are you going to go to Gardner Minshew when he's the same type of quarterback as Brissett? It's not going to be any improvement. You're going to go over to Beck at that point and give him an opportunity to show what he can do. Because if Brissett's not playing well, folks, you're not winning and you're not going anywhere. So why mix it up from that side as well out there? Ethan, turn on Uncle Lou's microphone. See if he's going to yell at me here, folks. Going into it. Lou, pull that microphone close to you. You raise your hand. I'm going to give you an opportunity.
Kid may need more time. If it's good to learn for a young quarterback, look what Brady's doing in Oakland. If it's good for a young quarterback to learn from a veteran, why would it be bad for a young quarterback to learn from two veteran quarterbacks? And I really wanted to take exception with Gardner Minshew, the same as Jacoby Brissett. But you know what?
They are.
They are. You know what they are? You know what they are? Veterans that know to not turn the ball over. Okay, so I hope they don't get rid of Minshew. If they do, I get it. But you throw a kid to the fire too soon. Ask the car boy what happened. Ask the kid in Carolina what's happening. Maybe even the kid in Houston. We'll see. If you see really successful, look at Mahomes behind Alex Smith. Mm-hmm. To me, it makes a tremendous amount of sense because the position requires this.
Yeah.
And I don't believe many rookies can really incorporate that.
Here-
So thanks
but-
for letting me.
Yeah,
butt
no
in.
worries. But here's the other side of that, because it's funny. I left this for Lou to be here when I talked about this, because I had a feeling he was going to go on the other side. Here's my other side of it. You got to find out if you have a quarterback to build around, or if you have a quarterback where you need to draft one next year. You need that question answered. Which, I hate to say this, it makes Carson Beck expendable this season.
Well, no, I totally. That's a very.
It means you throw him out there and see if he's able to grow.
No, not week 5.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm assuming Brissett can make it 6, 7, 8 weeks into
12,
the season.
14.
Something like that before you go to Beck. But also, I'm of the opinion, and I hate to say it this way, but Carson Beck's expendable to me this year. Throw him out there. Can he grow? Can he handle the beat up of an NFL quarterback and things of that, to where you can build around him? Can he do it or not? That's what you got to find out, and that's why I'm that angle. Going from Brissett to Minshew, you're just spinning a wheel and going nowhere. That's all I'm saying. Because if you have to make that move, it means you're going nowhere anyway.
Well, no, it means Brissett got hurt. To me, is what it means. I think Brissett's going to be okay. I think that offense is going to be okay, and not the absolute. When people see the Cardinals, they see a team that's really poor defensively, but they're not giving the offense any credit, and it really it deserves a merit of credit. I like the new. I'm usually against new coaches in a situation like this. I think I like this kid, and I see sparks there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love LaFleur as a head coach. I'm not saying he's going to come in here and take him to the Super Bowl and be here for the next 20 years. It's hard to win in the Cardinals organization, and it's hard to win long-term in the Cardinals organization. But I think we're seeing the start of a kid that's going to have a successful head coaching career. If it's not with Arizona, it's going to be someplace else. I like him that much.
I think it translates into offense immediately. I've seen sparks of it in the preseason, and the defense has to come quick, and hopefully they're hiding a few things from us.
Right? Yeah, exactly. They're holding it back.
But look, don't be afraid when the Cards are 0-5 or 1-5, okay? Because you have to look at the schedule,
who they're
not
playing.
the first 5 games.
Yeah, who they're playing and all of that fun stuff. Really quick, couple things around the NFL, and then we'll get to take our break and get to Uncle Lou. No, you're good. The NFL is, and I wonder on this, Lou, keep this in mind for the next segment here. The NFL's announced some big changes here where greater emphasis on health and safety rule violations, the NFL announced. Hip drop tackles, horse collar tackles, launching, hit on a defenseless player, and blindside blocks now. If a player commits 3 offenses in any of these categories during a season, they'll be suspended for 1 game. So the NFL implemented that yesterday. I'm just curious on just the outlook of the season with that rule change. Is there a concern about this? We'll talk to Lou about that. And then also, finally, the Pro Bowl's gone. I'm so excited about this. Mainly because I'm tired of players not wanting to play in it, Lou. Like Shedeur Sanders being a Pro Bowl quarterback last year should have told you it was time for this thing to die. Because it got so far down the list of players that couldn't play in this game.
That wouldn't.
They had to go to Shedeur Sanders.
It isn't that they couldn't.
There.
Many of them wouldn't.
Wouldn't. That's what I mean. They wouldn't play in it. So thank God. Just get rid of it. I know the ratings were decent for it.
Well, they're still going to announce a team.
They are.
They're going to give them their, they're going to blow the smoke up there.
Yeah, and they'll have a big get together, and it'll be televised, and everybody will watch it.
Fluffing each other with pepper.
But we're not going to have to endure. And it's. I know I'm making fun of Shedeur Sanders for this, but he's the player that epitomized the ridiculousness of the Pro Bowl. When you get down to that level of a guy to get in there because of that, thank God it's gone. Thank you, Lord, that is gone. When we come back, Uncle Lou's coming up next, folks. Come and join us.